Orlando for my collector's dream. Going out for my walk again this morning. It's a beautiful Sunday morning, a little bit cloudy here in South Florida, a little bit windy. Went to about 75 degrees, and it's just a beautiful day to go walking. It's not real sunny, so that's a good thing. Go ahead and switch this camera. You don't want to see my face the entire walk, I don't think. There we go. So today is a great day to be out in South Florida. It's a beautiful morning, like I said earlier. And I just wanted to talk a little bit since I'm walking and doing my daily exercise, which is going out for a walk. I usually will try to walk. Hey, Indy Cards, thanks for being on there. I'll be looking at the chat a little bit, but Double D, all right. Love to see Dylan. I think he's still in California out there, enjoying the time. He was out with Pepino Man at the airport waiting to go home. Yeah, I'm sure you can't wait to go back and see your wife, but I'm sure you had a great time with the boys, especially Pepino Man. I watched you sharing his cards there and being able to go through the Starbucks coffee drive that Pepino does. So I'm sure you had a great time, and I hope to see you again soon, Dylan. You are one of the best guys in the community. And this is exactly what I wanted to talk about today, which is, that collecting is healthy. And one of the reasons that it's healthy is because we get to be with our friends, we get to talk to people, and that, reduces stress. Oh, I can imagine he says, dude, it was freaking insane. Yeah, I wish could have been there, see all our good friends. And, it's one of those things that when you are with your buddies and with your friends, it's just so much fun. And, the subject here was that collecting is healthy. And as I do my daily walk here, which is really where I get most of my exercise, I'm not a guy that goes out to the gym or anything like that. I'll go out to do my walks. No Pokemon in the building. Hey, Carl, good to see you. It's probably late night in Australia, or maybe even close to uh, close to Monday already over there. But yeah, I got a chance to talk to Carl yesterday on the phone, and he was at a game with his grandson. And like I was saying, hey Gundy, I'm not a guy that goes out to the gym much and does all that exercise type things. My exercise is really going out for a walk, and I'll do some push-ups and sit-ups and stuff like that. Yeah, it's 2 a.m. already, Carl, in Australia. Yep, it's 10 o'clock in the morning here. So for me, um, collecting is what keeps me healthy. Hey, Scott, there's Stukes. Um, thanks for watching this morning. And really, what I want to talk about is how collecting helps you stay healthy. And part of it is, it keeps your mind busy. As we get old, this comes from my my sisters. I got two sisters, and the other day I was over there with them, and they're like, "Man, you look good, and you're staying young." And they're going to the gym, and they're doing all these workouts. And my sister comes back, and she's like, "I just got back from the gym. I'm just so tired. I'm worn out, and stuff like that, and just trying to stay young." And then she asked me, "What do you do, to stay young?" And I tell her, "Well, I do my walks, but I collect cards. That's what keeps me young." And she knows I collect cards, but she was a little shocked when I told her that collecting cards kept me young. Good morning, sir. And she was like, "What do you mean that you stay young collecting cards?" And I said, "Well, it's a few things. First of all, it's being with friends. And as you get older, you have less friends. Hey, Barry, Cooter, Cooter Nev here. And you got Keith Lonely Basement. Thank you guys for being on with me this morning. I really appreciate it. Good morning, Mr. Lonely Basement from Lonely Basement. And I need to get out to that Philly show one day and spend some time with these guys up there. And I wish I could have gone out to the West Coast, but it's just way too far from South Florida. So, I'm talking to my sister and I'm telling her, yeah, collecting cards can be healthy. It's because first, I get to hang out with my friends. I get to talk to my friends. And, one of the things that once we get older, we seem to do less interaction with people, either because you just don't go out too much or you don't have too many friends or, as my mom says, she's 96. Most of my friends have passed away, So this collecting thing, now that I'm in my I'll be 70 this year. It's, you know, you do lose friends or you stay out of touch with friends. But this hobby has helped me re-energize my my social community, my hanging out with friends, my talking with friends. Yeah, getting the steps in, hanging out with friends and hanging out with me. Yeah, at least you're watching me walking a little bit. But it really helps so much mentally when hey, pre-war dreams. Good to see you. Yeah, it keeps your soul young, is what he says, and it's true. You know, the the social interactions that we have in this hobby. Especially people like Dylan. That every time you talk to this guy, or even Carl, who's older than me. The enthusiasm in their voice when they pick up a new card or when they tell you, the good times they've had at a card show or even watching their grandson playing ball. I mean, just talking to somebody with the same mindset as you, in the same hobby as you, just really makes you feel good and reinvigorates your mind. And instead of sitting there watching TV all day or watching the news, which is something that's never positive, it's always bad news, I mean, that's all you see, you know, and that gets you negative. Staying with your buddies and talking with your buddies and even spending time with your buddies whenever you can, it just keeps you, uh, socially young. And, us guys, as men, even if you go way back to the old days where they say men are hunters and gatherers, you've heard that before. Uh, it kind of takes us back to that hunting and gathering days of the old, I guess, caveman. We were born, in my opinion, to be hunters and gatherers. So that's what we do with cards. We hunt them down, we gather them, and we keep them. I wish we could collect outside. Hey, and Henry S. I saw you've been on YouTube forever. Here's Henry S. has been in YouTube before 2015. And, I'm sure that's helped him with his stress and with his life. And that's one of the things that collecting does. It just kind of takes us back to our inner self. And we are, at least I think, I have some type of collecting gene in my body where I just got to collect something. And yeah, you're old. We're all getting old, my friend. Yeah, the hobby brings in different ages. That's the other thing. You get to hang out with guys that are not just your age but older, that really make you feel good and better, and really connects you to a different generation. And one of the things that you know the last 3 years, I think it's been at least 3 years, I've been rooming with Ryan Nolan at the National, and we're going to be again rooming again this year again in Chicago. And here's a guy in his 20s, and I would have never, you know, gotten to know him or spend time with him. You want the same card show? Yeah. Hey, Jay Walker cards. Yeah, and would have never gotten to know Ryan because, of course, he's in his 20s and I'm in my 60s, and we're just not going to hang out together, unless it was for the cards. And the cards, when we talk about cards, we're like the same. We feel like he's my age. He probably knows more about some of the non-sports, definitely knows more about non-sports than I do, even from the 1800s. And, we could sit there and we talk for hours. And, we're 50, almost 50 years of age difference, but it feels like, we're just, there is no age difference. And that's one of the things that really inspires me dealing with some of these guys, talking, getting to know these people and spending time with some of these young guys because that makes me younger. It keeps me younger. I'm not dealing with all these people in their 70s all the time. And not to knock you guys in your 70s. I know Carl, I know Stooge, but you know, these young guys have energy, like Dylan. I mean, Dylan is nonstop, always doing something, stuff to stay up with him. And the attitude and his positivity and those type of things make me younger, makes me feel young. And it makes me want to hang out with people like that versus hanging out with some of these guys that are my age or older. I'm at 44. That's a great guy. It's windy, so they're windy. It's pretty windy here, even though it's 75 degrees. A nice breeze. But, just going out and meeting collectors, meeting friends, and meeting people like Hammer 44 are the things that really make my life, I guess, worth living, make my collecting worth living, because you're hanging out with people that have the same interests as you. And the other thing about cards is that hey, Red Light, thanks for hanging out with me this morning. I really appreciate you guys being out there. Speed Hump, yeah. That was the exit of my community here. And you got to be careful. There's a school zone, so speeding fines doubled. But one of the things that's helped me stay young, and like I was saying earlier, is this hobby. And you met Chris in Missouri, yeah. Finley, he says he met Finley, who's a young girl and her dad. I met them at the National. We hung out there for a while, and she's a young girl, teenager. Yeah, Hannah, it's truly sharing. It's sharing what makes what we love. And I was talking about the comment that he made, but hanging out with Finley, who's really a young, teenage girl. I mean, I think she's what, 12, 13 years old, and she collects vintage with her dad. And getting to meet her and talking to her and showing me some of her cards, she collects even mantle cards. And the enthusiasm and the smile on her face when she showed it to me and knows that I appreciate these cards. Hey, thanks. Mangini, happy birthday, my friend. I hope you had a good birthday yesterday. He's a Valentine's Day a birthday guy, and I'm sure he went out last night and had some drinks. I don't know if his wife's in town, but hopefully she was. I think she may not have been, but either way, John, I hope you had a great, day. Hitman, I put you on the my buddy Hitman 23. Hitman, I hope you get into the YouTube Hall of Fame. And yeah, Mangini, he looks like you had a good time. Yeah, tell my wife you were buying cars, maybe stronger and younger and stronger, says Dylan. Yeah, your wife, is awesome, Dylan, and I'm sure she's happy for you for whatever you get. And yeah, Finley and her dad are awesome people, and we spent a good time together at Shoeless Joe there, talking, and just to see her excitement when she showed me the cards, and And I was excited for her, and she was excited for me being excited for her, you know. And it was one of those things that people get excited when they show you their collection, and you like their collection. You get excited about their collection. You know, Mr. Mangini, he stopped counting birthdays. I think once you lost your hair, John, you stopped counting birthdays. But I've seen videos of you when you had a lot of hair, when you used to do those conferences and speeches. Mangini did have hair, a lot of hair at one time, you know. Hey, Jacob Dahl, good to see you. And yeah, $3 cards. But, this hanging out with people, you'll be proud of what I got. Hey, good morning, Mr. Yeah, but, hanging out with friends is just one of the best things about this hobby. But, yeah, Hitman, well, Hitman lost us here too. But, I hope you're doing better, Hitman. I know you had a little bit of a health issue there. I hope you're doing good. And it says that did you get a Cuban card? And Mangini says bald is beautiful. Actually, I do have a Cuban card that I received as a gift from one of my friends. I was gonna say subscribers, but they're not subscribers; they're friends. And I got a friend from California that sent me a card, a Cuban card, and I'm going to go ahead and share that in my next video. So that's another thing about this community, how generous you guys are. But going back to the beginning, my sister asked me, you look great. What are you doing to stay healthy? And I told her I collect cards, and it's the truth. When I was working, I had a very stressful job. I was a salesman, uh, literally a door-to-door salesman, and I would visit, up to 50 doors, people a day, and you know, what can I say? About 99% of those were, you know, rejections because people don't like salesmen, or sometimes they just shut the door on me. Sometimes they just not interested or whatever. And it was a stressful job, and I did that for oh god, over 30 years, and it was stressful. And you would think that I'd be older than I was, but no, because I'd get home at night and I'd start going through my collection, and I'd be going through my cards where I've been, like I said before, like the caveman, hunters and gatherers. I would hunt and try to gather cards for my collection. My genie's a great guy that does that. So you get home, and as soon as I go through my cards and I open up a box, I forget about the bad day that I've had. I forget about all the negative stuff, all the people that sometimes would maybe curse me out, or shut the door in my face, or say they're not interested, or whatever. And I'd spend the rest of the night really going through my collection, and that was the biggest stress reducer I could ever have. You know, uh, yeah. We're just reading some of the comments there. Guys chatting, which is with each other, which is great. So for me, you know, that's one of the things that has, yeah, like Hitman. Hitman's got so many binders, or Mangini. I mean, I could go to Mangini's collection in his room, and I will one day visit Mangini out there in North Carolina, and or even Dylan's room. Dylan's probably got the best card room ever, I think. But Mangini, his collection is literally priceless. And if I ever went, when I go, let me not say what if I ever, when I go visit Mangini, I better be there at least a couple of days, because when you're hanging out in a card room like that, looking at a collection like that, you're in another world. You feel like you're in card heaven, you know, and it's just another way to just totally immerse yourself in something that is awesome. No, I'm not in Melbourne, Florida. I'm actually literally in Pembroke Pines, it's called. So, that to me, the card collector to me is the best way to reduce stress. And I'll literally tell you, it's probably, taken 10 years off my age because of the less stress that I have. I'm not somebody that uses drinking or stuff like that to reduce stress. When I'm stressed, I go pull out a box of cards, and it really takes me to another world. You know, I'll read the cards, read the back of the cards, and used to hang out in Pembroke Pines. Yeah, great. Well, John, hopefully one day you come back to Miami, which I know you loved Miami. It's a great city, and whenever you do, we'll definitely hang out. Um, Hitman's been over to my house out here in Pembroke Pines, and we do go to some shows together. And the picture I put there was me and Hitman at one of the card shops here in the show. Yeah, that show sounds like it was awesome. And man, Janie says it's the greatest place he's ever lived. Yeah, yeah, Miami is great. And they do have a lot of happy hours here. And Dylan says that West Coast National out there in Ontario was probably better than the National, or at least as good as the National. And it's good to see that they didn't have a lot of Pokemon because Pokemon has taken over the industry. So it's good. It's good that there was a lot of that. Do not visit Petty. He drives like a lunatic. That's what Carl tells me. Yeah, I'm sure Petty does. Petty's the guy that lives on the edge. And it's funny because I've known Petty for a while, even before he did his first live stream. Petty and I connected as one of my commenters, and I was able to talk to him. And it's funny because I don't do live streams as far as with other people on my channel. And Petty wanted to do that, and I told Petty that maybe we can get on a live stream with Lou because Lou Rock was doing some live streams before. And I called Lou and I said, Lou, let's get Petty on there. He's a great guy, funny, and all that stuff. And Lou didn't know him, and so Lou's like, yeah, we'll forget it. We'll do that. But he never called me back. I called him again, and Lou Rock basically declined having Petty on. It would have been Petty's first live stream, and now Petty's a star. Everybody wants Petty on their show because Petty is just a hoot. He's not just is he funny, but he is literally one of the nicest guys that I've ever met in my life. He's very giving, very nice, very caring, and many of these people in this community are that way. Even Mangini, and everybody says, man, Mangini, Mangini's an incredible guy. Not just because you're on with me now. Let's see, Jayhawker says, show some cards, TCG. But Mangini is one of the nicest guys in the hobby and one of the guys that helps so many other YouTubers. And I'll treasure the card. He gave me a tattoo orb of Jimmy Fox. I'll treasure that card forever. I'll never sell that card. And I've thanked you for that card before, John, and I'll thank you again because I think that is awesome. And yeah, Petty was on with Double D on his show live. I think that was his first live. And hey, good morning. And yeah, Petty, he is the guy that an incredible collection, but he just doesn't want to have a YouTube channel. It's just he says it's too much work for him. But you know, he's super well known. And he's incredible. Yeah, he's one of the nicest guys ever. Along with Dylan, along with Greg, and I mean, I can go on and on and on. Hitman and John and Lou and all of these guys. You know, they're all great guys. And Carl, Carl's going to pick me up at the airport at Independence. I mean, here's a guy coming all the way from Australia, and he does that because this is our our social time. This is a time we get to hang out with some of the best people in the world. And this hobby is just, great. And talking to my sister, I tell her that, it looks like I'm not getting older. I'm getting younger. I'm getting better. I feel like I'm getting, better versus older. And it's because of a hobby, you know. And just, I'm not a guy that does a lot of reading, but I do a lot of reading for history, for sports, for cards, for players. I mean, if you look at my books, it's all about, you know, baseball and biographies and stuff of players and cards. And that's another thing that keeps you young because, instead of me watching TV all day and just hanging out at the couch, I'll grab one of the books and I'll read a book on Jackie Robinson, or I'll read a book on, King Kelly, or whatever, people from all different eras. And, that also is something that keeps you young. This hobby really has so many aspects of it that keeps you healthy. And that's really what this talk is all about. That if you stay with this hobby, and I'm talking about not the gambling or breaking, that's the stuff that gives you the stress. If you go down that rabbit hole of that stuff, it's that's where the hobby stresses on you. You know, if you're constantly looking at the prices of your cards and things like that, that's stressful because a lot of the stuff, a lot of the new stuff, especially, it's just not. It's going to go down in price, and you're just going to get depressed versus getting, happy that you own that card. So, I'm a guy like John that never looks at the prices of cards. I barely even look at a comp when I'm going to buy a card. A lot of time I'll see a card, I think it's priced right. I'll just buy it, you know, because I know I'm going to keep that card. I'm going to keep it for a long time, and I love it, you know, and it's worth having to me because even if I overpaid for it, the the price of me, the enjoyment I get from that card is well worth the money that I put out. Because every time I pull out that card, I'll remember where I got it or who I got it with, or just the time and the fun, especially if it's card that you get it, on a card show or things like that. That's Jay Walker saying that his excitement going into Independence is going to be great, and and yeah, Carl saying that the book he sent me, Skipper, yeah, going through books like that and reading about other people's experiences, just learning about the history of the game and the cards really keeps your mind going, and that's what the hobby's all about. Is taking your mind away from the stresses of life and going back to some of these times that puts you in another world. You know, series one is fire, dumpster fire. Yeah, yeah. You got the new series that just came out of Topps 2026, and I'm hoping Mangini goes to Independence. He's never been to Strongsville, and really, it's a can't miss. Even if you don't buy cards or buy very little cards, just to hang out with the guys, I guarantee you'll feel 10 years younger. It's like a frat house, just like the National is, but this is even more of a frat house because it's kind of our community within the community, our little community. Yeah, Dylan, talking to Mike. But to me, you know, this hobby, if you don't get into the gambling aspect of it, if you get off that fence, John, he says he's on the fence if he's going to go or not. Get off the fence and go. Just decide to do it. You know, I've already I know Dylan, it's a long way for him. I understand that, you know, but he says he had one of his best nights of his life at the at uh, at the West Coast Card Show, and that's what it's all about. Let's watch that. There's that hawk that's flying around trying to catch you. There's a hawk flying around there. See if it's going to catch a fish. That's what they do. They'll dive in and catch fish. You see them flying around. But, get off the fence, John. I've already booked my hotel. I've got my flight. And I even got tickets. And if you want to get tickets as a YouTube guy, let me know because I got one of the guys that runs the show, Greg. He he got me free tickets as long as I shoot some video, and he's giving me tickets last year also. Kind of well, it's not really a media pass. He just gave me the early entrance tickets. With Mangini, the first time I ever met anyone, these are his 20 greatest nights of my life. That's what Dylan says, and it was. Um, I miss Mangini at Lou Rock's retirement, but Mangini, we got to meet and play, have a good time at Lou Rock's house last time, and that was an awesome, awesome time. Love the Hall of Fame, but seriously, yeah, the Hall of Fame is great, and let's hope some of our buddies can get in. And it's just, even if you don't, hey Shaheen, good to see you, my friend. Shaheen's got an awesome collection. If you've never seen his collection, he's been on. He was on Alex Bowman 53, sharing some of that. It's got some awesome, awesome pre-war stuff. Look at that bird that's there. And yeah, man, I like to go out and do my walk and just enjoy nature, enjoy my time out there. So the two things that kind of reduce my stress are collecting cards and hey madness. If I was old enough to see Clemente play, well, I was, yeah, but I never really got to see him in person, unfortunately. And hey Wesley Hodge, it's thanks for being on with me today. I mean, I never got to see Clemente in person because back in the late '60s, early '70s, the only team that would come down for spring training were the Orioles, who did spring training here in Miami, and the Yankees, who did spring training in Fort Lauderdale. So I was able to attend those games, but we never had any baseball here until the Marlins came in the late 1990s. But I saw him on TV. I saw him when he played, just like Mantle. I got to see the end of Mantle's career. I remember watching him on TV when they had the Saturday games, and my family was always involved in baseball, so we always watched every game that was on TV. Back when there were literally three stations and the public channel, but that was pretty much it. There were three stations, and they would put the game of the week. So I would watch that and watch my favorite players there. Usually it was enjoyed seeing the Yankees, but it's you don't have to watch these guys play in person or anything to know how great they were. With I went back thing, reading books and learning about them, you find that they were just great people. And even though I didn't get to see Mantle play, I did get to meet Mantle at a signing. Yeah, I'm in Miami. I remember going to the Orioles Stadium. I was a kid, and Murray and Ripken. Yeah, yeah, and that was really my first uh, meeting of of any major league players. And I told the story before when my grandfather knew one of the Orioles players, because my grandfather, when he was in Cuba, he sponsored a team, and there was a Cuban player, Orlando Pena, and he was, had my name, Orlando, and that kind of caught my attention. And my grandfather says, I know him, and he's there. And after the game, I'm going to go say hello to him. So after the game, in spring training back then, you could just go right there up to the fence, or pretty much right up to the field, and the players would hang out and give autographs. And my grandfather had caught a foul ball, and he went up there and hey, good morning, Drew. Good to see you here, my friend. It's probably cold up there. Um, yeah, Carl is looking for the Isaac Murphy card, and we talked about yesterday. I wish you the best. Uh, it's a great card, and I would bid on it, but you're bidding on it, so good luck with that card. And so my grandfather took me down, and we got Orlando Pena's autograph. And then, yeah, Stooks, I'm sure remembers watching all these guys on TV. There he is. The mayor's in town, Chris from Missouri. Hey, Chris, can't wait to see you, my friend. I hope you get elected into the Hall of Fame. I hope all you guys get elected into the Hall of Fame. Stooks and Hitman, all you guys. I wish I could have voted for everybody, but it's just so many good channels, so many good friends. It's really tough to vote. You got to always leave some people out. It's unfortunate, but that's the way it is. But going on with my story, yeah, we got his autograph, and then he said, "Let me get other players to sign the ball." So I was a kid back in the day. I was probably, I don't know, 10, 12 years old. And he said, "Come on down." And he took me into the clubhouse. This is right after the game. So there were still players hanging out right there in the clubhouse, right there in the, where they were. Told me to sit at the end of the bench. And then he went and he started getting autographs of some of these guys, Jim Palmer and Brooks Robinson. And Brooks Robinson literally came up to me and sat next to me and started talking to me, asking me if I played. And I played Little League at the time. And, just by him telling me to, keep playing the game, stuff like that, it's what really got me inspired and really got me into real collecting. And he's always been one of my favorite players. But I still have that ball. It's signed by a lot of those players that were on that team. And from Boot Powell to Al Bunbury to Brooks Robinson, Jim Palmer, uh, God, just a bunch of guys, probably about 10 guys that were there at the time signed the ball for me. And as soon as I got home and I showed that to all my friends that played Little League with me, it's kind of like they'd never seen like an official game ball, It's not like you can go buy one back in those days, you know. So he started throwing the ball around. So here we are with an autographed ball of these players and Hall of Famers. And, we're throwing the ball around and stuff like that. And it was just a great memory for me. I still have that ball. Some of the autographs are faded. The ball is all kind of scraped up because we played with it for a while. But it's one of those things. And again, going back to this hobby, this hobby is the healthiest hobby I think you can get into. It will really reduce your stress. It makes you feel young. It makes you go back in time, and you're like a little kid when you're looking at your cards and hanging out with your cards, and even hanging out with your friends. We're like kids together, I mean, hanging out with people like Dylan and John and Stooks and Rocket Rick, who I'm gonna be my roommate at Independence again this year, just like last year at Strongsville. Hey Ziggy, and it's just a great thing. And I got to meet Ziggy one day at the National, and I hope to see Ziggy again. Uh, Ziggy's a great guy, and yeah, it's nice here. It's a little bit cloudy, but it's a beautiful day, probably 75 degrees here. And So going back to, the theme of this walk is, I'm walking and I'm getting healthy, but to get healthy in your mind, this hobby is the best thing that you could have. You know, forget from That's a nice Porsche there. Forget about the world. Forget about the problems in the world. Forget about all the bad news you hear. And just you get in your own world. You get in your own collecting world, and it makes you feel like a kid again, and it keeps you young. And I think that's, in the beginning I said, it all started from, yeah, just ignore the crap, Carl. That's great, exact, great comment. Right back to the beginning when my sister says, you look young, you feel young, and all that. How do you do it? And I told her, it's collecting cards. So as long as you stay away from the hobby drama, as long as you stay away from the breaking, which is the stressful part of the hobby, as long as you stay away from looking at your card prices every day to see if they've gone up and down. I mean, that's the stressful part of the hobby. And as a collector, not a flipper or anything like that, that's, what I stay away from. So I just wanted to kind of, hey, Barry, and Barry, thanks for your walks. He does a lot of nice walks. And, uh, you know, going back to Barry, God bless you, Barry. Thank you for all your prayers. And I'm blessed to have friends like you, Dylan, and friends like all these guys that are on right now that make me feel young, give me something to live for, give me some excitement in my life, give me my one owner car to block all the noise and nonsense. That's right, Hammer 44. And, Hammer 44 is one of those guys that he's got a stressful job. Trust me, he's got a stressful job. And for him, I'm sure like me, collecting cards is what de stresses you. It makes you forget about everything else in the world. Those says I can't think of anything worse for me. I look what my cards are worth and watch them go up or down. Exactly. There's no need for that. If you're not going to sell the card, you enjoy the card. It's not about what it's worth or not. And, that's the problem right now with the young people that are getting into the hobby. It's all about the money. And when you make it about the hobby, that's when, about the price. If you don't make it about the money, that's when the hobby is not fun anymore. That's when your stress level increases versus decreases. It's not about that. It's about enjoying what you got and enjoying your hobby with your friends. Good morning. Sí, muy lindo el día. So it's just stay away from the breaking and the gambling and all that stuff, and looking at, yeah, stay away from the Gators. That's for sure. And Dylan says Dylan is the Energizer Bunny. He is, but it's every time he talks about cards, it's the excitement that he has. And that's what the hobby's about. Dylan is the definition of a hobby. And, it's just all about that. As long as you don't get into all of the negative stuff and you stay away from that, Mangini says when he's sorting and reholding my cards, it's like meditating. And it is. It is. You're meditating, you're looking at your cards. And like I said, it's the only thing, you just feel like a kid again, and you forget about everything in this world. And that's what a hobby should be about. You know, thanks, God. That's what the hobby's about. It's not about, you know, the price of your cards, whether somebody has a better collection than you, whether got that big hit from the box or not. You know, it's about enjoying your hobby, your collection. And like I like to say, your museum, because that's really what we have. We build our own little museum that really defines us. You know, it shows people who we are and what we like. And that's why everybody's collection is different. If you collected like everybody else, it'd be boring. So, good morning. Good morning. So, that's what I like about this community, that everybody collects differently, but we all collect because we love it. And the love of the hobby is what this is all about. The love of collecting and the hunter gatherer inside us, that sometimes the hunt is, is more exciting than the gathering. But once we have that in hand, it's just that feeling that we have accomplished something. You know, yesterday I saw the video for my good friend Stephen with a PH, and he's been, yeah, Carl, CIA auction. Yeah, CIA auction is tonight. I got some cards in there. But Stephen with a PH has been looking for this 52 Jackie for a long time, and he bought one, and he bought it raw from a dealer, and because he put the word out that he was looking for that card, and somebody got back to him and said, "Hey, here's a guy that has one." Contacted him, and he was able to pick up his a beautiful 52 Jackie Robinson, which completes his Jackie run. Yeah, it was more than 52 for sure, Hammer. It was incredible. And it's just to see, yeah, if you haven't watched it, go back and take a look at it. But to see his face, to see his happiness, to see him just smile from ear to ear when he was talking about that Jackie, that is what the hobby's all about. He's never going to turn that card around and flip it. He's going to grade it, but he's not going to grade it to flip it. It's a card that he's going to keep forever. And he'll remember, like we do when we get a card like that, for the rest of our lives. We'll remember where we got it, how we got it, how we felt when we got that card. And that is the enjoyment of the hobby. And that's really kind of what I wanted to talk about, to make sure that you love this hobby and you let it be a de-stressor, if that's a word, not something that's going to stress you out. Let me cross the street here. Let me get going. I'll do like a frogger. So that's what it's all about. It's about enjoying it, having it not cause stress in your life. So, you know, don't go out there and be doing these breaks that, will stress you out. Don't go out there and, get a card you can't afford. That's going to stress you out. And put it on a credit card, you know. Yeah. But, get stuff that you love, whether it's a $5 card like Hitman 23 gets, or it's a $1,000 card like some of the stuff Mangini gets. It doesn't really matter. It's how you love that card and you love the hunt of that card and love owning that card. Pretty windy out here. So make sure that you guys use the hobby as a place for relaxation, a place where you can clear your mind. What channel is his? Stephen with a PH. I think it's called Stephen with a PH. And, that's what the hobby is all about. It's a hobby that we're supposed to be enjoying, supposed to relax us, take away all our stress, and not cause stress. And if we do that, I think you're going to feel healthier, and not just the cards, but read up about the players that you're collecting. Read a book on them, read some history, you know. And I think that also is a way to get your mind away from all the stress in this world, because, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on, and, you know, I'm not going to be hung up with all that stuff. I'll get away. And I got to tell you, like I told my sister, that this hobby has taken 10 years away from off my life. I feel 10 years younger because I've been collecting, all this life, all my life. And that's what the hobby's all about. So I guess I've talked too much already. I sound like Greg from midlife. He always says, don't make this thing over an hour. Heading to Sammy's train night at the Bleecker Carts today, Mookie. Yeah, Mookie, good luck over there at that train night. Maybe they have some Mickey Mouse cards. I know you're getting into that a little bit too. But, it takes you back to when you were a kid. And that's what it's all about. So I just want to thank everybody. Whoever hasn't voted, if you can vote, if you've been doing stuff, hey, what's up, Lou Rock? You're running and listening to me, huh? I'm almost at the end of this thing. So yeah, Lou's retired and Lou's enjoying it. And so Lou, I was just saying that the hobby is to reduce stress, and just like you're running, I'm walking, and those are two things that will keep you young. And the hobby is supposed to keep you young, not stress you out. So stay away from the braking, stay away from all this, you know, pricing my cars and whatever. Just look at your cars, enjoy what you got, and go out and hunt for some other cars that will be part of your museum. And don't worry about the rest of the world. There's nothing you can do to control it. So thanks, guys, and make sure if you haven't voted for the Hall of Fame, YouTube Hall of Fame, please vote. Even if your guys don't win, don't get in, just for them to hear their name, it's something that is a great feeling to even be nominated. And I would have nominated Mookie, but he's just a little bit short of 3 years. So Mookie, you're in next year for sure. But go out there and vote. Make someone's day by nominating them for the YouTube Hall of Fame. Let them know you care, and go out there and make some friends in this hobby, because really that's what it's all about. And have a great flight back, Double D and Hitman. I got to catch up with you again sometime soon. But thanks everyone for watching. This is Orlando. I'll catch you in the next one. Have an awesome, awesome day, and I'll catch you on the next one. Have a beautiful Sunday, guys.